Hi, I'm Chef Gail Sokol and welcome to my kitchen. Today, I'm going to show you how to make the best pizza dough ever. That makes the best pizza you have ever had. So if you're thinking about ordering a pizza tonight, forget about it. You will never order a pizza again after you make my pizza dough. It is spectacular. And at the end of this video, not only am I going to show you how I put together my pizza with all its accoutrements, but I'm going to give you my best tips on how to get the best crust you've ever had. I'm telling you, it's the truth. All right, so let's get started. So here we have bread flour in a big bowl. Start with a big bowl, 5½ cups, all right? And then we're taking a lot of yeast. This is instant active or fast rising. It's a tablespoon plus 2 teaspoons. Remember, fast rising or instant yeast, same thing. You can actually add directly into the flour. Super easy. You don't have to do any proofing stage, and it actually gives you a lot more bang for your buck. Each specific yeast granule produces a lot more carbon dioxide during the fermentation process. That means a puffy, chewy, fabulous pizza dough. So 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. We're going to whisk this up. If you noticed, where's my mixer? I don't have a mixer. Ha ha, what now? You don't need an electric mixer. So an easy pizza dough, if you don't want to take out all your wonderful tools, leave them in the cabinet. You don't need them. All right? So what I have here is a little over a cup of extra virgin olive oil, whatever your brand you want. And then I have 2 cups plus 2 tablespoons, about 110-degree water, so it's nice and warm, because we want our yeast to start the fermentation process. And you're just going to drizzle that in there all around. Okay, now remember, bread flour has a lot more gluten-forming proteins, so it's actually going to form a good amount of gluten, and we're going to knead it. We're going to KNEAD it. We're going to show it who's boss. So we're just going to move it around. Now, I always have extra flour here, so I have some extra bread flour. I even have a little extra olive oil in case I need a little bit of something slippery on my work surface. I don't like to use too much extra flour, so I would rather use either a little extra water or a little extra oil on my work surface to get my dough going. Now, it looks very shaggy. That's how a lot of yeast doughs start. So this is where you pull off the rings, you pull off the watch, you clean off the spoon, and you get your hands dirty. So I'm actually going to start kneading this baby up, okay? And it feels warm, feels wonderful. Now, if you want to add a little something extra to it, add a teaspoon of garlic powder, or a teaspoon of onion powder, or even a few tablespoons of cornmeal, just to give it a little crunch. So you can do anything you want. If you wanted to add a little white whole wheat flour or regular whole wheat flour, be my guest. But you'd have to substitute out some of that bread flour. All right, so you see what's happening? We're being gathered up. We actually have almost a dough, and we're going to just take that all out of that bowl. And then I take my bench scraper and I start getting my dough ready to knead. All right, because we really want to develop these gluten-forming proteins. And if I feel like I need a little extra water, because sometimes the flour is a little dry or the air in the kitchen is a little drier than normal, you may need a little extra water. So I'm just going to get just a touch. Just make sure that it's a little slightly warm, not too hot. I'm just taking like a drop or two just to make sure that I feel, it's a feeling thing. You want to feel your dough. You want your dough to sort of feel like your butt cheek. I said it like your butt cheek. It's sort of slightly flabby, all right? Not buns of steel, slightly flabby, smooth and elastic, all right? I said it. Oh my goodness, I said it. All right, so we said it, but it's true. And you're going to gather all your little pieces that are on your workbench, and you're going to knead it. Notice I'm using the palm of my hand, I'm pushing, and I'm really encouraging gluten formation. If it gets a little too sticky, that's where the oil comes in. Just take a drop of oil. It actually will lubricate the work surface enough that you won't have to use any flour. You don't want to add too much more flour because we really want that beautiful dough at the end to create a great crust that's sort of chewy and brown and golden and crispy and cheesy. Oh, wait to see what I put on my pizza. I love it. I love it. So once you get to this point where you're actually, I'm going to do a little bit more oil, all right, where you're actually getting this slightly flabby, soft, elastic, and firm, like your butt cheek. I said it again. You are going to let this rise in a warm spot. Now, I have a proofing setting on my oven. If you don't worry about it. Just put it in a nice warm spot. So I'm going to take a bowl. That's a good size bowl, and I've sprayed it with nonstick cooking spray. I'm going to put my dough in here, and I'm going to flip it over so the grease side is up. I don't want it to dry out. And then I'm going to take some plastic wrap. I'm going to put it really tight. And if you notice, my bowl is really big. My dough isn't even up to the halfway mark because I want my dough to expand in about an hour. So I'm going to put it in my proofing oven, which is about 90 degrees. You don't want to go too much hotter than that. Put it in a warm closet or even an unlit oven if it's not too cold, and let it go for about an hour. It should double in size. And I'll see you back here in an hour, and we're going to prepare the best pizza for the best pizza crust ever with my tips. So I've let my pizza dough rise for 1 hour in a warm spot, and you can see it doubled in size. It's gorgeous. And what I'm going to do now, this makes 2 14-inch pizzas or about 8 individual pizzas. And you can even make your pizza crusts, your individual ones, on the grill. So I'm going to save that plastic wrap because I'm going to only work with 1/2 at a time. And I'm going to let it pour out onto my work surface, but I'm just going to put a little oil here. I do not want any flour, no flour now, because the flour will dry out our pizza. So we're just going to let it ooze, just sort of fall out. We are going to just eyeball it, and you don't want to rip the gluten. So you want to take your dough cutter or a sharp knife and just sort of eyeball about half. Go straight down, and it feels beautiful. It's full of carbon dioxide. It's lovely. I'm going to take this little baby, put it back in the bowl, cover it. And I can put this right back in the refrigerator for up to a couple of days. Make it another time. All right, I don't want to overhandle my dough because it's been rising. It's full of carbon dioxide, but I also don't want to develop the gluten because I need to push it out onto my pizza pan. So I have about a 14-inch circular pizza pan. It can be any size, any shape you want. If you have a rectangular one or just a sheet pan, that's fine too. And I'm just going to put a little either nonstick cooking spray or a little nice high quality olive oil. And with your hands, just sort of spread it. You can even do it with a paper towel because I want our pizza to come out. We want our gorgeous pizza to come out. So this is one of my nice tips. This will also help get a nice crust. Nice crust. And while I've been doing this, while I've actually been allowing my dough to rise, I actually have my oven on to the highest temperature, 550 in my case. So I put it on 550 degrees and I just let it come up to temperature, and it will take about an hour. Look what I'm doing. I'm using my fingertips and I'm just sort of rotating my pan. Don't really pull on that dough. You don't want to break the gluten. Another tip when you're making the best pizza ever and the best pizza dough ever. Just sort of push and just give it a little suggestion. Like we'd like you to go to the edge of the pan. And if it doesn't want to go and it sort of boings back a little bit, just keep working it, work it, work it. And you'll see eventually it will go to where you want it to go. All right? And you're making like a little rim around the edges. All right? I'm telling you, this is your best pizza dough ever. All right? And my oven has been preheating for an hour, so it is right now at 550. If your oven can only go to 500, 500, that's fine. All right? Now, as far as sauces are concerned, you can do whatever you want for sauce. Some people might want a white sauce. You can do a red sauce. You can make your own sauce. I made my own sauce, but you can even use a store-bought pizza sauce. It's fine. You can even take a can of diced tomatoes, cook them down with a little garlic, and even saute an onion first and put it in there with some basil and some spices, and you got yourself a pizza sauce. So now I put my pizza sauce on. Some people like a lot of sauce. Some people don't like a lot of sauce. So you decide what you want to do, all right? And I'm going to smear it around, all right? I don't like it too thick with sauce. Some people do. And I have a lot of toppings. I love toppings. If you don't like a huge amount of topping, by all means, do not use a lot. Some people just like what's known as a margherita pizza, which is just basil and a little mozzarella. You can use fresh mozzarella. You could use burrata. You could use any type of fontina. You could use any type of cheese you like. It's up to you. There is no hard and fast rules. Now, this is where I'm going to start putting some of my toppings on. So I like mushrooms. I like olives. I have not only the canned olives, but I also have calamatas. If you like green olives, put them on. I've quartered some canned artichoke hearts. So just take whatever you want. I like to put my pizza cheese on first. In this case, I'm going to use a shredded mozzarella, so I'm not using a fresh mozzarella. It's a little drier. I find it melts better and it spreads better. So I'm going to put this on right now. All right, and I'm not giving you a recipe for the amount of cheese or toppings because that's up to you. You want to use, any type of meats, whatever you do. My next tip is if you want to use like a ground meat or sausage or pepperoni, pepperoni is usually cooked so you don't have to worry about it. If you're doing some sort of a sausage, you want to make sure it's cooked first. Being in the oven for 15 minutes, I don't care what temperature it is, it's never going to cook well enough. So you've got to make sure that your meats are cooked first. All right, hear that. You want to be safe. I'm going to put the rest on. There's a lot of mozzarella. Now, I like a little Parmigiano Reggiano, so I'm just going to put a little bit on there. All right, just a little. I think I got myself a lot of cheese, but it's just so good. It just adds just a little sharpness with the Parmesan. All right. Now, a little garlic powder. Like I said, you could have put this in your pizza dough itself. I like a little on top. Just a little on top. Maybe up to a teaspoon or so. And a little onion powder. All right, that's just me. And a little Italian seasoning. It's already in my sauce, but I just like to sort of gild the lily, if you will. All right, just put a little on there. Now my toppings. So I have some sliced mushrooms. They do not have to be cooked. If you want to saute them a little bit first, you can. You don't have to. Now, if half your crew doesn't like mushrooms, leave the mushrooms only on half. All right? Some people don't like everything, so just sort of scatter things around evenly. but you can divide it up if you want. Artichokes, make sure they're drained thoroughly. You don't want to put anything wet on top of your pizza. That will prevent it from becoming nice and crispy. Crispy is the name of the game here, folks, but still, it's still chewy and delicious and crisp. Now I have some beautiful, I found this beautiful striped red pepper. So I have some red peppers. You can use some hot peppers. You can use jalapeno peppers. You can use anything you want. You can even use some red pepper flakes. You can use anything to get the heat up, whatever you want to do. I just like it nice and pretty. And I also like lots of color. Now I have my olives. I'm an olive gal, all right? My family loves olives. I think each one of my daughters was born with an olive in their mouth because they love them so much. Either love them or you hate them, all right? Now, what's one of my favorite tips? Push down. Just give it a little push, push, push. Now, we're not shushing the whole thing off of the pan. We're leaving it on the pan, but I do have my pizza stone heating up on the bottom-most rack. If you don't have a pizza stone, don't worry about it because you'll bake your pizza on the bottom-most rack at 550 or the highest that you can go. Little extra virgin olive oil on the top, especially around the crust area. That's another fabulous tip to get some nice browning and some nice crispiness on the top. Just a little bit, just a little bit, just as much as you want, all right? I'm using a teaspoon, but this is probably, maybe a couple of tablespoons, all right? I'm gonna wash my hands. We're going into the oven for about 15 minutes, just until that crust is golden brown and the toppings, meaning the cheeses, are bubbling. Yum. All right, so I'm gonna put my pizza in on my pizza stone. And it's a well-used stone. That's why it's got some black marks on it from old cheeses that have burnt on. I'm going to shut my oven really quickly. I'll see you back here in 15. So as you can see, my gorgeous pizza with my special pizza dough is out of the oven, and it looks gorgeous, and it's still bubbling. Now, I like to top it with a little fresh basil, and let me show you what I like to do. So I like to pile my basil leaves. All right, one on top of the other. Get the stems off if you can, as best you can. All right, get those stems off. Pile them one on top of the other, almost like pages of a book, and then roll. Roll them, roll them, roll them, roll them, roll them, okay? Almost like you're rolling up a towel. Get a chef's knife, choke up on it, and then chiffonade your basil. And that just gives you those tiny little strips that look gorgeous that you can sprinkle and scatter on your freshly baked pizza. Ooh, look at this, it's raining basil. Oh, look how beautiful the colors look. Oh my goodness, it looks so beautiful. And we are ready to serve our beautiful pizza with any beverage, a salad, whatever you want. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you make my special pizza dough and look for my tips, and I hope you become a subscriber. Till next time.